As a kid, I remember falling asleep wondering what a live-action Transformers movie would look like. That question was answered in 2007. I remember standing in line at the midnight show opening night, ready for this dream to become a reality. Transformers was finally gonna be a live-action movie. The theater lights dimmed, the nervous fanboy anticipation chatter faded, and over the next 2.5 hours, the reality of a live-action Transformers movie looked something like this. Shia LaBeouf saying,
No, 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 no. No, 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 no!
humans, humans, and more humans. Hottie number 1, who knows a lot about cars, and hottie number 2, who knows a lot about computers. Comedy, comedy, and more comedy. A couple of Autobots here and there, a couple of Decepticons here and there, no real relationship between Starscream and Megatron, and a little bit of fighting here and there, edited way too fast, and filmed way too claustrophobically. There's one scene in the movie that's kind of a metaphor for how this adaptation, how this realization of the Transformers cartoon treated us, the audience. Let's pause this and add a little something to the picture. There it is. Bayformers pissed all over our childhood. Let's not bullshit. Transformers in the 80s was not Shakespeare. It was capitalism at its most manipulative. A cartoon created to sell toys. And if that wasn't bad enough, the 1986 movie was an excuse to kill off all the old characters in order to establish new ones, so that the kids who had toys for these old, now dead characters would be forced to go out and buy the toys of the new characters. But while this was all going on, a funny thing happened to the series. The writers created some interesting characters, especially Optimus Prime, Megatron, and Starscream. The relationship between these characters became the dramatic core of the series. And another unpredicted thing happened. Optimus Prime became sort of a 1960s inspirational, idealistic leader. An incorruptible hero, willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good of humanity. And also, in his case, his fellow Transformers. The series may have started out as an average piece of coal, but sometime during the show's run, it changed into a diamond of childhood entertainment. Unfortunately for all of us, the live-action Transformers movie was unable to live up to these standards. I'm not going to sit here and be a Michael Bay hater and say it's all his fault, but he is the director, and it's his final responsibility to create the vision of the film. The writers Robert Orci and Alex Kurtzman have written for Lost, Alias, and Fringe, and most recently were behind the pretty excellent Star Trek prequel reboot. And executive producer Steven Spielberg definitely knows how to create character-based summer blockbuster films. So what the f***? Why did Transformers 2007 suck so hard, other than the amazing special effects? Because we, the audience, didn't demand more from it. We became seduced by the visuals, and cared more about the effects on screen instead of the effects on us off screen. Let's ask ourselves a question. Was there a moment in Transformers when we felt sad, or mad, or relief for a character? Or did we feel inspired at any moment? Did Starscream or Megatron really intimidate us? How about in The Dark Knight? Did the Joker terrify us? How about The Matrix? Didn't we cheer when Neo and Trinity rescued Morpheus? Or weren't we angry when Cypher betrayed Morpheus and the humans just so he could be reinserted into the Matrix and not have to deal with the harshness of reality? Weren't we sad when Yoda died? Happy and bittersweetly satisfied when Darth Vader rescued Luke from the Emperor and died managing to earn redemption? Did the phrase, "there is no fate" in Terminator 2 inspire us? How about the "they may take our lives but never take our freedom" speech in Braveheart? There are a shitload of good examples of what movies can do to us emotionally if they're made right. They might be sci-fi, action, horror, or comedy. The genre doesn't matter. What does is that the characters aren't pushed aside for the spectacle. I admit, Transformers 2007 definitely made me drop my jaw a few times. In terms of cutting-edge effects, it's the top of the pops. It's pioneering technology that gives our imaginations total freedom. And I also laughed during the movie a few times. But afterwards, on the way home, and later, while being fueled by a little nostalgia to ruffle through the old toy box, finding a beat-up, rusted, armless version of Grimlock, I began to feel disappointed. Transformers 2007 felt empty. I felt hungry at the end of the day, realizing the only thing I had eaten was a rich, sweet ice cream sundae. Or really, another way to think of it, the movie kind of felt like a porno. A movie where the story is like the fourth or fifth priority, behind the lighting, sound, cinematography, and the actors. What matters in that genre are the visual set pieces. Everything else is fast-forwardable. The characters, the dialogue, the drama, it's all bullshit. It's expendable. It's throwawayable. It's all fast-forward material. And that's the same attitude that we have in approaching the sequel. We're not seeing it because we want to find out if Luke is going to continue his Jedi training, or if Neo becomes the one and takes down the machines that have enslaved humanity. And we're not wondering if Frodo's going to reach Mount Doom, or if Peter Parker's going to tell Mary Jane how he feels and reveal his true identity. We're going to see this second Transformers movie because it's going to give us a lot of CGI robot fighting money shots. I'm not totally against that. I'm a huge fan of great visuals on a big screen. In a lot of ways, it's what the screen was made for. It's the only place we can get that effect. But at least in the past, filmmakers put some effort into these other areas. At least they tried to give us characters and story. If not for us, for themselves, so they felt like they were masters of their craft. Now it's like no one's expecting it. Everyone's looking at the box office and trying to deliver just what the audience wants instead of providing them with these nice hidden surprises. It feels like the characters in these summer blockbusters are just cut and pasted from other past blockbusters, and they're just fit in between the new exciting set pieces. It's kind of like hooking up. It's fun at first, but after a while it begins to feel empty and mechanical. This notion was best expressed by Soren Kierkegaard when he said, "In the bottomless ocean of pleasure, I have sounded in vain for a spot to cast anchor. I have felt the almost irresistible power with which one pleasure drags another after it, the kind of adulterated enthusiasm which it is capable of producing, the boredom, the torment which follow." This existential alarm bell is like the aching belly, November 1st, after an all-night binge on Halloween candy. Because movies are made by humans, starring humans, and watched by humans, all the aspects of humanity should be addressed, instead of the more sensationalistic ones and impulsive ones. Sure, they're a lot of fun, but there needs to be a well-rounded diet of all these elements. Humanity exists on a physical plane and at the same time a spiritual plane. It's the head and the heart, and we function best when there's a balance of both. And let's talk about this title. It's obviously a Star Wars ripoff. Originally, Return of the Jedi was supposed to be called Revenge of the Jedi, but then, of course, fans reminded George Lucas that Jedis don't seek revenge, something he remembered for the next trilogy, where the final installment was titled Revenge of the Sith, because the Sith, being one with the dark side, would seek revenge. So here we have an attempt at a darker second installment, following in the footsteps of Empire Strikes Back. But let's just ask here, what is there really to revenge? Now I know the Fallen is supposed to refer to not Megatron, but a greater, stronger Transformer. I don't want to reveal all the story details, but there's an entity known as the Fallen, and I guess the Decepticons are trying to help that entity. So this doesn't really mean Megatron, but just in general, what is there to revenge? And the filmmaker should be careful, because vengeance needs to be understood in order to be felt. When we feel the pain and frustration of the person who is seeking the vengeance, then it can be successful. Like Paul Kersey in Death Wish, or Khan in Star Trek II, or Leonard in Memento. What do we feel about Megatron and the Decepticons so far? Not much, because they're just evil a-holes who want to control everything and everybody. They're robot jerks. They should be called Jerkatrons, or Dickheadicons. Couldn't Megatron and the other ones be more like Hans Gruber, or Edward the Longshanks, or Hannibal Lecter, maybe the Joker? The more we understand their motives, the deeper they are, the more we connect to their actions and understand why they're doing what they're doing. There needs to be a little bit of a blur between the good and the evil. As an audience member, I want to be in that gray area. I want to question my loyalties. Did anyone ever find themselves thinking, you know, Luke, Darth Vader does make the dark side sound pretty cool. Or, wow, I actually understand Agent Smith's point of view. The vengeance here sounds cool in the title, but will it be communicated and felt in the story? And if the Fallen refers to Megatron, then why wasn't this movie called Revenge of a character that should have been melted down and made into Campbell's soup cans or crushed into a Rubik's Cube in a junkyard at the end of Transformers? I mean, really, the US government dumping Megatron's body into the ocean was one of the dumbest cinematic moves I've ever seen. During this scene, this little element should have been added. I actually showed this scene to my baby nephew, and here was his reaction. Now let's turn on the baby translator to get a little more feedback. Another title for this movie should have just been Transformers, More CGI Robots, because that's what we want. In this movie, all the characters are going to be cliche, two-dimensional, and forgettable. We're all here for the visuals. This is CGI porn. Press the button on your remote with the two arrows facing right, and let's just get to the good stuff. Which is 46 f***ing robots, as compared to 14 in the first movie. Here's the names of the robots that I've been able to find who are going to be in this movie. All I have to say is, that's more like it. It's about f***ing time. The first movie had way too many humans and not enough robot action. Both physical fighting action and interaction between them on a dramatic level. I mean, seriously, how could the filmmakers not establish the Starscream Megatron rivalry? Starscream hates Megatron. How is it possible that was missing? Oh wait, I also did forget one more robot that's going to be in this movie.
Maximus Hottie Prime 2009.
Or as I like to call her,
The Booty Former.
I knew the sequel was f***ed when this was one of the major images in the preview. So aside from robots and ass, I guess there's a story. Let's take a look at the preview and see if we can't crack the code of this future Oscar winner for visual effects. Sam is going off to college, but the booty former isn't. And for some reason, I don't know, maybe because he doesn't want to be the most popular guy in school, he leaves his talking, walking, transforming car at home. All is fine until he touches a piece of the Allspark, which gives him LSD visions of hieroglyphics that obsess him in such a way that he has to constantly be writing them everywhere. Which brings up comparisons with other stories that have used this technique. There's Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where Richard Dreyfuss becomes obsessed with the image of a mountain after his UFO encounter. There's episodes of Amazing Stories, Outer Limits, and Star Trek The Next Generation that have had characters exposed to alien influence and driven to act under its control. And then there's this. It's been reported that Michael Bay accused McG of stealing the Transformers designs for the robot used in Terminator Salvation. So, in what seems to be the revenge of the action director, Bay has stolen the premise from the McG-produced NBC show Chuck, about a guy exposed to secret information that he can't get out of his head. So here, Sam Witwicky is Chuck. I guess all ideas are interchangeable in this battle between action directors who focus more on effects than character. So here Chuck, I mean Shia, no, I mean Sam, or I mean whatever, tells Optimus, Problem, who realizes that he has to protect Sam yet again. The Decepticons arrive in full force, crashing into buildings, and not really caring about being subtle as to alerting people of their presence here on Earth. Megatron is reawakened, and again he chases Sam and the booty former around. There's awesome action in the streets, through some buildings, in the forest, and it all leads to the pyramids, where the final battle takes place. The Autobots probably prevent the Falling from exacting total revenge, but because this is trying to be the darker sequel like Empire Strikes Back, there might be some sort of sad note ending, possibly Optimus' death, or a major injury, which will probably deal with Optimus coming back to life or being healed, and of course, Unicron. So let's issue a couple warning signs. Number 59, Michael Bay is involved with the making of this movie, and number 71, the sequel makes the same mistakes as the original. Again, I'm not hating on Bay, it's just I wish he expanded his idea of what this movie needs. Hint, more than tits, ass, and explosions. If you're defending Bay, just ask yourself this question. What would Transformers look like if it was in the hands of Christopher Nolan, James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, Peter Jackson, David Fincher, Darren Aronofsky, or Sam Raimi? Yes, I know, Sam Raimi gave us the bomb of Spider-Man 3, and Spielberg did make War of the Worlds, but overall, all these directors know character, drama, and story, as well as great visuals and action. Remember, genre is just drama with different clothing. You need to have that solid core in basic dramatic understanding. As for making the same mistakes as the first movie, it looks like this has all those forgettable human characters from the first one and plenty of the cheesy comedy and bad dialogue. But let's give it credit. We're going to see it for load more robots and excellent visuals, and this definitely looks like it's gonna deliver. So dropping the film buff snobbery, this scene here looks holy awesome. The visuals look amazing. They're gonna rock. Blow us the way. But here at the Movie Preview Critic, I talk a lot about the movie apocalypse, which generally means an end to good movies, but more specifically, it's an end to the creative, inspirational process that creates movies. The artistic birth of something is about listening to the universe, to the human heartbeat, and feeling all of our collective pains, dreams, joys, fears, and translating that into something everyone can understand and appreciate. Maybe a song, a poem, a story, and in this case, a movie. Today's movies are greenlit, green being the color of money, because there's a chance to make big dollars. Because of that, each project needs to be similar to another movie that's come before, a successful movie of the past, so that the studio can estimate the reaction of the audience. This means copies, clones, remakes, and reboots are rewarded, and originality is punished because it's new and different, and there's no way of knowing how the audience is going to react. So the power of art is drained. It's kryptonited away, it's handcuffed. Art can be a roadmap for our future because it decodes our present. But when all we get fed week after week is the past, we get stuck in place. We stop growing, we stop transforming. And that might be the ultimate irony of this movie. In a story about robots in disguise, there seems to be a lot of opportunity to explore these themes: truth, lies, honor, courage, betrayal, power, trust. The problem is that these qualities are located inside of the characters, but for some reason we're so obsessed with keeping our attention on the outside. I wonder what it is. Maybe we're afraid of what we'll find. I know this is a summer blockbuster movie, and this kind of entertainment is supposed to be mindless. Or is it? Remember, the blockbuster wasn't invented until the late 70s. And the movies that started this trend, like The Godfather 1 and 2, The Exorcist, Jaws, Star Wars, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, all had a lot of heart. They were complete films, crafted on every level. Cinema is over 100 years old, but we've been cursed with the blockbuster for only about 30 of that. The truth is that they don't have to be mindless. They don't have to be forgettable. I really want Sam Witwicky to be the Luke Skywalker for generations Y and Z. I want Optimus to be Obi-Wan, Megatron to be Darth Vader. But it seems the only thing Transformers takes away from Star Wars is the Death Star. It definitely stretches the imagination. It's a great visual CGI triumph, just like Transformers here. But its terror as a planet destroyer is only felt if the characters feel it on screen, so we can. Watching Transformers is kind of like being at a strip club. After a while, the intoxication of tantalizing visuals wears off, and you eventually ask, hey, so what's your name? It's a force of habit, because we're human. Deep inside of us, we want that connection. Probably because we know there's always more than meets the eye. Too bad here, there isn't. The movie preview critic rates Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen worthy of big screen viewing, only because of the CGI mind-blowing effects, which look holy awesome. But still, that's not enough of a reason to pay more than matinee price for this. This exists because of the trilogy syndrome, which ties in with the pre-existing fan base which guarantees box office, and we're all gonna see it because we like the director, actor, there's the hottie factor, because we have obsessive-compulsive franchise disorder, it's definitely CGI porn, it'll make a great bromance movie, and it's a clear sign of the already existing movie apocalypse. Now, let's find Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen's place in movie history! It'll be better than Transformers 2007, but when it comes to the characters and relationships, it'll still fall short of Transformers the animated movie. Expect the opening weekend box office to be the biggest of this year, being the first movie to break $100 million over the weekend. The first Transformers movie made $70 million, which is the neighborhood that Wolverine, Star Trek, and Terminator all ranged in this year, so Transformers should definitely top that. That means it should do better than its worldwide total from 2007 of $700 million. So thanks for hanging out. Until next time, choose your movies wisely, because remember, Hwood gives us more of what we pay for. And as always,
long live good movies!